My parents had a safe and they kept it in a closet. I didn't know the combination of it. And over probably a multiple year period, I would go in at night, sometimes every night, sometimes not for a month or two at a time. But my mom was also a nurse, so I would take her stethoscope and I would use that to listen to the clicks as I tried to figure out the combination.
What were you specifically looking for in there?
I just thought there was more information that they weren't going to tell me, and I felt that if it would be anywhere, it would be in that safe. I'd be up till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes just trying to get into the safe. And one night I did it. I looked at the number and turned it back to stop, and it stopped. And I'm like, what number was that? So I finally opened it up, and at the very, very bottom of the bottom shelf was a manila envelope, and it said adoption papers on it. I'm like, I knew it. So when I grew up with my parents and my sister, I never felt that I fit. And I kind of identified with the story of the ugly duckling, where not that I was ugly or anything like that, it was just I didn't fit, I didn't belong.
He had such an unhappy childhood, like there was something else out there for him. And I kept on telling him, okay, we've got to find this lady. Like, we've got to find this lady that gave you up. There's got to be more out there.
I always liked solving puzzles, and I just enjoyed investigation. So as I got older, I went and got my license, became a private investigator. The first big piece of information I found was the adoption papers. I was referred to in all those papers as baby boy C2646. And in one particular letter from the adoption attorneys was a reference to the adoption of Michael Christopher Rood. And that one piece of information is really what kind of broke everything open for me to kind of search for other things. I was doing an investigation in the LA County Recorder's Office, and I just decided to submit Michael Christopher Rood and my birth date to see if there were birth certificate. And in a conversation I had with the clerk behind the counter, she's like, no, the record's sealed. I'm sorry, we don't have anything here. And then she said, the only thing we have is your mother's maiden name. And like dumb, how do they spell it? And she spelled it out for me and wrote it down. And then I got Goffany as my mother's maiden name. So after I'd known my name was Michael Christopher Rood, that's all I had. So I was, 7 years old? I mean, I wasn't a private investigator, wasn't a professional investigator, I didn't have any resources. The only thing I had is every time we went in a new city, whether we were visiting people or in our own phone book, I would go through phone books and I would look for Roods. I mean, even in high school, I was 17 years old, I graduated high school, I went to Hawaii, I went through all the phone books in Hawaii. It's just something I did wherever I was. I pulled out phone books and I looked for Roods. I had done a couple of surveillances, and then one time Shannon and I were going to Disneyland, actually. We went by there and the garage door opened up and a green Lexus drove out, and a woman with kind of blonde or white frizzy hair was driving. I'm like, wow, that's her. I'm trying to get my camera, I'm trying to get in a position to get her coming out, and she's yelling and screaming.
I'm like, oh my God, that's your mom, that's your mom, that's her.
I'm into the back of a 4Runner trying to get a snapshot of her, and it's auto-focusing off the window because I wasn't ready, and we didn't get a good picture. It's all blurry. When I finally made the decision to make contact with her, I wanted to do it in a way that gave her a way out. So we put together a series of pictures of me at different stages of my life. And another guy that I worked with was also a private investigator. I asked him to use the guys that he was hired by me to go to her door, knock on the door, say, I was hired by your son. I haven't told him I found you yet. I wanted to give you the option to decide whether you want to meet him or not. Well, Jeff didn't follow the plan exactly. Jeff mailed her the letter with the pictures with the intention of going by there on a weekend. Well, the mail moved a little quicker than he thought. She got the pictures before he made the visit. So she picks up the phone and calls him and says, yeah, I want to meet him right now. And again, we wanted a public spot. We wanted a place where she would feel comfortable. So we picked what was called the Bicycle Club in Burbank, right off the freeway. We also told her, because I didn't want it to be awkward. I'm not the best conversationalist. I said, bring pictures, and I'll bring pictures, and then that'll give us something to talk about. So we went armed with a couple of photo albums.
We walk in and we were so nervous, and she was so excited. She was just like a bundle of energy.
I don't know, the world just kind of passed by and we just talked. When we met Maureen said that she had made contact, or Poppy had made contact, Poppy being Bob, with her a couple of years ago, and made comment that his marriage wasn't doing well. He didn't need any complications. So the way she tells it is, she calls him at work, and so his secretary answers the phone and says, it's Maureen Morton on the phone for you. And he said later that as soon as she said that, he knew exactly why she was calling and what was going on. So he picks up the phone, talks to her, and says, yeah, I want to meet him right away.
But he did warn her that he had not ever told anybody. He hadn't told his wife, he hadn't told his kids, nobody knew. So when Maureen called him, he said, I do want to meet Dean, but, my family doesn't know.
I was playing softball, and I was getting my cleats on at the local field. It was probably about 6 o'clock at night, and I get a phone call from Maureen saying, I have somebody that wants to talk to you. And, she didn't tell me in advance what was going on. And I go, hello? And he goes, hey, buddy. And that was the first conversation I had with him. So we make arrangements to meet Bob at this Rusty Pelican restaurant. The same thing, we just connected with him right away. His likes were my likes. It was a little weird because I think our mannerisms were very similar. So as I'm looking at him, it's like looking at yourself, right? It's how I stand, how I act, everything it's the same. Clearly, even in my wildest fantasies about meeting my parents, it never dawned on me that there'd be somebody that similar to me.
We left that meeting. He actually went home and told his wife, and obviously she was shocked, but they decided to tell their kids the next day. They told the kids, and Christy and Dawn, Dean's half-sisters, were super excited. They wanted to meet Dean right away. And it was weird because they just loved Dean. They were so welcoming and just super excited, and
well, then they kept pointing out the similarities between me and Bob, and
yeah,
how I would stand one way. Look, he's doing it. Doing what? And I'd look over and Bob's doing the same thing, and it was weird.
It was kind of like walking into a family that you had been in for all your life. And, Dean, it was the first time that I had ever really seen him kind of relax with family. When we went to his adoptive parents, it was always, it was almost like walking into a battle almost every time. Like, you were always on edge, and it was just a really uncomfortable situation. And I think this was the first time that I had actually seen Dean in a family setting where he was just totally relaxed and really fit in and open and engaging, and it was a really surreal experience. It was pretty amazing. After we met Bob and Maureen for the first time, we did everything with the families.
For a long time.
I think our relationship with Maureen is really still very close. She calls us and we see her all the time, and like I said, spend Christmases and holidays together.
But we have good relationships with them. I'm happy. I wouldn't undo it for anything.